Modeling with linear functions. In this concept, we're going to take a look back at linear functions, which you learned a lot about in Algebra 1. Linear functions are in the form y equals mx plus b, where m is slope and b is the y-intercept. That equation should send off some reminders in your head from Algebra 1. Our slope formula, when we're given 2 points, we just find slope by doing y2 minus y1 on top and x2 minus x1 on the bottom. In a word problem, you need to remember that slope is our rate of change and y-intercept is our starting point. Problem 1 asks us to find slope from 2 points. So using this slope formula, we're going to label our points as x1 and y1, x2 and y2, plug in each of those, simplify, and solve for slope. A couple things to note here. The subscripts, x1, y1, x2, y2, that's just meaning from the first point and from the second point. That's all that those subscripts, the 1s and the 2s, mean. Also, notice that we had 6 minus minus 2. Well, that just becomes 6 plus 2. Make sure you always simplify your answer as far as you can. Don't leave this as 8 over negative 4. Problem 2, we're going to find slope from a graph. Remember that slope is just rise over run. So pick 2 points on the line and count how many boxes we rise and how many we run. So in this case, our slope is 3 over 4. You should also make a note that positive slopes go up, negative slopes go down when we look from left to right. Zero slopes are a horizontal line, and vertical lines have undefined slope. Problem 3, write an equation from a graph. So in order to write an equation, we need to find our m, which is our slope, and our b, which is our y-intercept. First of all, to find m, we're going to do rise over run again. And when we count these, we get a 3 over 2 for our slope. To find our b value, we just look at our graph, we look at our y-axis, and we see where the graph hits it. In this case, it's at negative 5. So our equation for this line is the equation y equals 3 over 2x minus 5. For problem 4, we're writing an equation from 2 points. The first thing that we need to do is find our slope, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Then we're going to find our b. The way we're going to do this is we're going to pick our favorite point. For this problem, I picked the point 5, 6, and we're going to plug those in for our x and our y values. So I've plugged 6 in for y and 5 in for x, and I've also plugged in my negative 2 for my slope. Now we're just going to solve for b, and we get 16. So our final answer, make sure you write it as an equation, is the equation y equals negative 2x plus 16. Write an equation from a table. Just like the last problem, we're going to only need 2 points. So you can really pick any 2 points you want from this table. There are 5 of them here. I'm going to pick the points 1, 7, and 2, 11. So I'm going to copy those down, so I'm looking at just those, and find my slope. To solve for b, I'm going to use y equals mx plus b, and I'm going to pick my favorite point. In this case, I picked the point 1, 7. Plug those in for x and y, plug 4 in for m, and solve for b. Make sure that you write your final answer as an equation. Problem 6. 2 prom venues charge a rental fee plus a per student fee. The table shows the cost for Lakeside Inn. The total cost y for x students at Sunview Resort is modeled by the equation y equals 10x plus 600. Part A asks us which venue charges less per student. Well, we know from our equation for Sunview that they charge $10 per student because that's their slope. That's the per student fee. Now we need to write an equation for Lakeside Inn from this table in order to see what their per student fee is. So let's just solve for the slope here. First of all, we're going to pick our two favorite points. I picked these two. You could pick a different two, but just pick any two. And find your slope. I found the slope for Lakeside Inn to be 12 students. So in this case, when it asks which venue charges less, the answer would be Sunview charges less because they charge $10 per student. Part B says, at how many students are the venues the same price? In order to answer this, all we have to do is set the equation for each venue equal. We have Sunview's equation, but we still don't have all of Lakeside's equation. We found that the slope was 12, so now we need to go through and find our y-intercept. First of all, we need to pick our favorite point, and then using y equals mx plus b, plug in your y, m, and x, and solve for b. Now that we have our two equations, we can set them equal and solve for x. In the end, we get the answer of 150 students. So whenever you have 150 students, the two prom venues would cost the same amount.